I am a firm believer that if you don't fix things that are wrong in the present, you are definitely going to relive the same situations in the future. If you don't make sure that you don't do the same mistakes in the future by separating from the mistakes you made in the past, you are deemed to redo the same mistakes in the future. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for being here again. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. Like, sometimes you give me purpose. No, I'm lying. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, it's a beautiful day out here. It's still very cold. Not too cold like before, but it's getting better. And I appreciate you for coming back all the time. I salute you from all over the place. Dumelang, South Africa, Jebaleko, Basebonabanyabo, Uganda, Amakuru, Amanyarwanda, Shikamo, Tanzania, Wagwan mi boss, Jamaica. Thank you. America, our brothers from the UK. Thank you so much for choosing us. So we are in Senegal. You remember Senegal? Okay. Senegal has brought it back. Guess what? COVID-19. It's back, fellas. Senegal has strengthened health control against COVID after the unaliving of some people in Mecca. Okay? So people went to Mecca. Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. Going to Mecca is one of the pillars of Islam. Meaning, in order for you to be a good Muslim, you have to be in Mecca at least one time in your life. Yes, it's not always cheap, but you have to be there for spiritual purposes. Now, something happened a few days ago. As many Muslims went to Mecca to celebrate, to be in contact with the spiritual, unfortunately, something really drastic happened. About 1,300 people were unalived. And there are many versions of the story. Some people say it's because of the heat, because it's so hot, it can get up to 50 degrees centigrade. That's very hot. And some people say it's because of the virus, COVID-19 virus. Some of you don't even remember what that virus is all about. Yes, it is back, fellas. And Senegal has strengthened health control against COVID after the unaliving of many people in Mecca. The Senegalese authorities have implemented voluntary COVID-19 screening tests and reimposed the wearing of masks at international airports. You believe that? Wearing masks again. We're back at it again, fellas. Wearing masks. Upon arrival to the airport of Senegal, pilgrims are obliged to wear masks and to go through COVID-19 tests. Did you see that coming? Well, many people didn't see that coming unless you're part of the people that's skeptical. You know, we live in a world where skeptical people are usually perceived as not very intelligent. They're perceived as people who dwell in conspiracy theories. But guess what? I think you cannot switch your brain off because we live in a world today where you're into conspiracy theories for you to shut up. I mean, it's just a very nice word to say you're stupid. How can you think that way? Yes, I can agree for a little bit. If you jump a little too much into the rabbit hole, you can be cuckoo. But believing everything you're told is just as stupid as believing nothing. Listen, fella, we have a situation here where 1,300 people were unalived in Mecca. Some people say it's because of the heat. Some people say there is a virus back in town. Senegalese government has implemented obligatory testing measures at the airport. The first batch that was tested was about 129 people. And out of 129 people, 79 were positive of the virus, COVID. You thought it was gone. No, it's not. It's back with force. Because in Senegal, now you have to wear masks at the airport. Now, this is just something very interesting because I like putting stories together because, yeah, when they look alike, maybe they are brothers. When they smell alike, maybe they come from the same town. Let's look into this. You remember a couple of days ago, we spoke about African president going to France to meet with the French president. We even made a joke about it because he was holding the Ghanaian president like he was his friend. But the Ghanaian president could be his father. And the Ghanaian president will never allow another black person of that age, of the age of the president of France, to touch him like that because it's improper in African culture, right? It's all about respect. But anyway, he's French. It doesn't really matter. French president was in a meeting with African president. The goal was to raise $1 billion in order to build a vaccine producing company in Africa. Because as per them, Africans are unable to produce vaccine for themselves. Statistics say that Africa only produces 2% of the vaccine people take. So out of 100% of the vaccination happened in Africa, only 2% were produced by African in Africa. So these presidents came together in France discussing on how to build facilities that's going to fast-track production of vaccine.
L'Afrique Africa produces only 2% of the vaccines it uses. Our goal is to produce 60% of these vaccines by 2040.
That was necessary because during the crisis of COVID, African nations were left to themselves when America and Germany and France bought all the batch of available vaccines to COVID. You remember? People were scared. Everybody was waiting for something to come from Europe or America. Now, in order for them to avoid that, they want to raise $1 billion to help Africans. And then we said, okay, well, how do you want to help Africans? You're not necessarily cousins to Africans. You don't really care about Africans like that. I mean, let's just be honest. You know, on the other side, you say Africans make too many babies, but now you adamant you want to make them happy by vaccinating them and protect them. What's all the causes? Why do people do things for free? I don't know. I don't think people do things for free. So let's get back to track. We have a situation in Senegal where people are falling on the ground. Now, masks are compulsory at the airport. You must do checkup. COVID-19 is back in force. We have a situation in Mwekassa where people were unalived. Many believe it was the heat. Some people believe it was a respiratory disease, which is COVID-19 clearly. Or just a few days earlier, African president went to France to discuss with the president of France on how to establish vaccine for Africans. No, I don't know. I'm not saying these things are related. How do you feel about that? They said they needed to raise $1 billion in order to prevent future upcoming pandemics. Upcoming pandemics. It's like you're waiting for pandemics to arrive. I mean, you didn't see COVID-19 come. It just came. Caught us by surprise, right? How come you have now the ability to see pandemic coming up? That's a bit weird, isn't it? So our question is very simple. If this is started in Senegal, what's next? Is it going to happen in Cameroon next? Nigeria, South Africa, or any other place? Is this the beginning? And the other question is this. The Senegalese president was in France discussing with the French president. Senegalese people went to Mwekassa, they came back to Senegal. There were many of them tested positive to the virus. But in Mwekassa, people come from many other countries in the world. This is the big question we have. The big question. In Mwekassa, many people come from various different countries. Now, how come only in Senegal people are testing positive of a virus? Wagwan! What's happening? Now, we cannot dispute the fact that 1,300 people really were unalived in Saudi Arabia, in Mwekassa. Now, what about the people from different other countries? Are they being tested or not? Do they present danger or not? Are we getting ready for another episode? I think, fellas, you need to ask questions. I think being stupid is not asking questions. Being stupid is not asking questions. That's being stupid. You rather ask a stupid question than ask no questions. We need to understand what's going on, what's happening. Why the urge of getting people ready for vaccination, then all of a sudden something's happening. And I'm just asking you a question. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. We sat here for many, many months, and they said to us that the only way to open the doors to the world was everybody was to be vaccinated. Do you remember? Okay. Some of us are not vaccinated. Some were vaccinated. But then later on, we all expected that everybody got vaccinated before they opened the doors. That wasn't the case, right? Something happened. Do you know what happened? Do you remember what happened? Let me ask you this. Do you remember the reason why you're not vaccinated and we're back on track? We're just back to normal life? Do you know what happened? You don't know what happened. Russia happened. Russia and Ukraine. The war in Ukraine killed the virus. They didn't talk about that anymore. When the war started in Ukraine, nobody spoke about the virus anymore. It was over. Have you been vaccinated? Everybody's been vaccinated? I don't know. I'm not sure. Many people have not been vaccinated. But remember, they said if you do not get vaccinated, we're not going to open. France, let me remind you, under the control of the current president, was blocking people from going to shops, going to markets, going to cinemas, to eat, to have fun, to watch movies if they were not vaccinated. Do you remember that? Yes. They were going to create a passport to say that you are either vaccinated or not, because they were adamant to get everybody vaccinated. And again, I respect everybody that's vaccinated. I respect your choice. I still believe that everybody still have the ability, should have the ability to make their own choices. Okay? Don't push people into their own direction. Many people lost their jobs in many countries in Africa. Many people were told, if you don't get vaccinated, no more jobs for you. Many people lost their job. Many people felt forced to do it. They didn't do it because they had to do it. They didn't do it because they wanted to do it. They did it because they saw behind them there was a big family that was going to be hungry. And again, I do not blame or judge people that decided to do it voluntarily. But what about the people that were forced to do it? Have they been compensated for being threatened? Have the people that have been fired for not being vaccinated been paid? No, they have not been paid. So the French president is the person that at that specific time pushed the idea of keeping people in the houses if you're not vaccinated. It started in France. Not going to eat if you're not vaccinated. It started in France. Now, a couple of days ago, I had a meeting with African presidents on how they're going to be financed $1 billion to build vaccine facilities in Africa for Africans. Then boom, we are in Mecca and people are falling. Everybody has forgotten about COVID-19, right? It's not the news anymore. So is it back? Are we going to be back on mask again? They say we must be ready for the next pandemic. Is it starting right now? Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. God bless. Bye.